Welcome back to another episode of Manifesting Mondays. I'm your host, Shabana Knight, here on Organized Chaos Season 2, Permission Granted. I'm so freaking happy you're here. And first of all, I just have to start saying that I just looked at when I wrote this all up, and it was 3 a.m. on Sunday, as in Mother's Day. So this should be interesting. Now I'm going to go back and read you my podcast notes. So let's see how this turns out. All right. I want to know, what have you manifested recently? What have you thought about, prayed about, asked about? And it just literally showed up at your doorstep like an Amazon Prime without you actually ordering it. And it just showed up. I would love to know, so message me sometime on socials or click the send me message link in the show notes and tell me what you have manifested recently. So I was having a conversation with my son in the car the other day, and he was on the phone with one of his friends. And he was telling his friend that we were on our way to Applebee's, and we were going to pass his neighborhood soon. And the friend made a comment like he wanted to come. So I said, sure, we can pick him up if his parents say it's fine. And then, in my opinion, this kid is shy. So I was pretty sure the kid was going to end up changing his mind. So the kid was like, just kidding, I don't want to come. And then the conversation somehow changed into, you guys are really rich, which led to a series of different conversations, which I had heard that comment from somebody else earlier. And this is my response. The first 8 years of our marriage, times were so challenging. We were on food stamps, and we were so thankful for that we got the help and support that we needed. We had help with paying for daycare, and that was a huge blessing. And we were seriously living like paycheck to paycheck and budgeting like crazy and making sure we paid off our credit cards each month and living very modestly. And we always got like hand-me-downs for the kids for clothing and toys and shopping at secondhand stores, which I still love to do. As we know, as I said, I think recently, that $8 skirt that I'm obsessed with. So now, 18 years later, I think rich is a mindset. And I would say, if anything, we have acquired a much healthier, wealthier, conscious mindset. And that has propelled us forward in life. We were fortunate enough to have people in our lives that have been very gracious and kind to teach us about savings and stocks and making sure we always had insurance and investing. All those things when we first got married that have set us up for success. We also both did not come into the marriage with college debt or loans or anything like that to pay off. And I know a lot of people start marriage with things like that. I was just talking to one of my friends, and I think she said that they have like $60,000 of student debt loans that they still have to pay off. And at the same time, because David and I did not have student loans to pay off, the first 10 years of our marriage were really hard because it was hard for David to find a job because he didn't have the skills on paper. And so he started, going to college and working, and I was home with the kids, or I was pregnant, or one of the other things. So David went and he started doing college classes, and then he found a job that would pay for his schooling, and things like got better and better. And one thing that I've always done and I've always believed in is giving back a 10% of our income. And at the time it was to the church that we were going to and stuff. And whether that's giving to a church or a nonprofit. And so right now, this year, the nonprofit that I give to is a good friend of mine, Casey Tainton, host of Inner Spark podcast. So every month I give a donation to her organization. So she facilitates and hosts birthday parties in hospitals for children who are undergoing cancer. So they're undergoing treatments and stuff like that. And it's such a beautiful extension of love for those families who are grieving and going through hard times and just can't think of having a party, but just letting someone else do it and bringing that love and light into the hospital and stuff. So I think it's such an amazing outreach. I'll link her Venmo in the show notes and her Instagram link if you just want to give her page a follow or give back. But I really do believe so much in giving back, and that just multiplies and multiplies even when you don't have a little. But if you choose to give 10%, it's amazing just what that does. And then, so one of the stories I told my middle child in the car after he had mentioned that his friend had said that we are quote unquote rich, which is all perspective. I first started with the first 10 years were really a struggle. And then the last 8 years, we have built our wealth even more. And we budget and we try to make smart choices and we spend money on things that we really want. And then we give when we can and we learn to say no. And a lot of the times, like when we go out to eat, it's because we have gift cards and we always like ask for gift cards and monies for like holidays and things like that. So even the other night when we went to Applebee's, that was because we had gift cards from different holidays and stuff like that. I always try to find coupons and stuff like that because life is expensive. It just is what it is. Okay. So here's an example. So I had said in the other podcast that Ryan had rolled his ankle at school on Friday, and then the nurse said that we had to go get x-rays because he couldn't put any weight on his foot and there was like sharp pains and stuff like that. So she was pretty sure that he had either broken his pinky toe or like a hairline fracture. And if that was the case, he would end up being in a boot for like 4 to 6 weeks, depending on how bad it was. And so I had bought the crutches and that was like around like $50, but there was a coupon, so it ended up being like $40 or something for the crutches. And then there was other accessories. So anyway, it was like $70 just to start off with this injury. And then I was like asking people if they had a boot. And so one of my friends had a boot for us to borrow if we needed it. And I asked her how much she paid for it. She bought it because her insurance didn't cover it. It was $450. So it's like, it's things like that. We have built such a huge network of friends that whenever we need something, I feel there's always someone that we can borrow it from. And or if any of our friends need something, we try to help and let people borrow stuff. And then I was like having a conversation with somebody else and I was like, man, I would love a new car, but really there's just 2 little issues on my car that I would love to get fixed and ride my car out until it like dies completely. And then of course she goes, my like brother, or it was like her cousin or something, is a mechanic in training. Send him your information and if he can do it, he'll give you a much better deal. And I was like, oh my gosh, awesome. So it's all these divine connections and interactions of honestly just being transparent and being friendly and nice and having conversations with people. And doors just open up. So many things open up. And I feel we always end up saving money because people, I think in general, people are generous and gracious and kind. But at the same time, you also need to be the one that talks and opens up and share your life with people, because I think people want to help people, but if you don't share, then people don't know how to help, you know? Anyway, so there's like all that stuff. Okay, back to the actual story that I wanted to tell you for this podcast. So I'm in the car and I'm telling Ryan about all these different stories of things I've manifested during that like first 0 to 10 years of our marriage when things were really challenging and stuff. So I was like journaling and praying, and I had asked God, I was like, okay, so the kids were, Jasmine was just born, so she was 2 months old, and the boys were 3 and 5 years old. So we're in that transition time where we needed 2 different sizes of diapers. And then Michael was potty trained, so that was good. So 2 kids in diapers. And I was just like, oh my gosh, diapers are so expensive. Like, could somebody just buy us some diapers? Like, that would be so neat. Like, those were my thoughts and stuff. So we went to Costco as a family because it's not like I would go to Costco with 3 kids, 5 and under. So we went as a family, and we were all in line, and then David's like, okay, I'm going to just take all the 3 kids and go to the food court and you like finish up paying. I'm like, yep, absolutely. So I'm in line, the shopping cart is filled with everything, including the diapers and the wipes and all the snacks and the goldfish and all the things. And then we have the middle child is like, soda, soda, I want soda. And he's like starting to like throw a tantrum. And at that point we were like, nope, our kids, we were not drinking soda. We still don't buy soda for the house. Soda is something special. And they can drink that outside of the house. And every now and then we'll get root beer to make root beer floats. But in general, we are not a soda drinking family. And anyway, so he was throwing a fit about wanting soda. And so David takes the 3 kids and goes over to the food court and deals with them, gets some pizza and gets them settled. And so the lady's ringing up my Costco stuff. And then she like tells me the total. I don't even remember. Back then it was probably like, let's say $200. And I do one of those, oh my gosh, where is my wallet? And I just look at her and I'm like, I am so sorry. I don't know where my wallet is. And she kind of just like looks at me like, okay, lady. And then the lady behind me pulls out her wallet and is like, I got this. And she just like swipes her card. And I just look at her and I'm like, oh my God, thank you so much. You don't even know like what this means to me. I was like, I literally was praying that somebody would like give me diapers yesterday, and you totally did it. And you went above and beyond. Like, thank you so much. Like, and I was just like kind of in shock and disbelief and thankfulness and gratitude and all the things. And the cart gets loaded up and I'm on my way, and I go over to the food court, and the one kid is still like kind of like finally somewhat calmed down, but still is kind of like soda, soda. And I look at David, and that lady just like paid for all of our stuff. And the other day I was like praying about how we were going to afford diapers, and she paid for it, and like, oh my God, and I can't believe it. And I'm hungry, and thank you for my slice of pizza. And it was just amazing. So that is my Manifesting Monday story from, 13 years ago, being at Costco, needing some diapers, and God going above and beyond, supplying us diapers and a whole shopping cart full of groceries in a Costco line to a mom who was definitely tapped out and exhausted, and at the end of a busy day taking care of her 3 kids at home while her husband was working, and then coming home, and he was probably like, this is chaos, let's have the great idea of going to Costco and getting groceries as a family. And yeah, so I guess to wrap up this episode of Manifesting Monday, I hope that this story encouraged you and inspired you to remind you that nothing is too big or too small to ask for, and that God, universe, and source, i.e. Gus, is always listening. So ask away and take those aligned action steps and watch the magic unfold. Also remember, our timelines are different than theirs, and whatever happens, if we can stay grateful and remember this or something better in life always has a way of working itself out. So trust the process, believe in yourself, and remember, you are loved, you are amazing. So keep on manifesting, keep on believing, and keep on shining your light for all to see. I love you, and I will see you next week on another episode of Manifesting Monday on Organized Chaos, Permission Granted. If you enjoyed this episode, please scroll down to the bottom, give it a 5 stars. If you want to be kind and leave a nice review, it's super easy. You just say, hey, this was a great episode, blah, 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 and submit it. Piece of cake. And if you want to share it with a friend or share it on socials, I would love that. And I feel like that's it. I hope you have a great week, and I'll talk to you next time. Love you. Bye. Just kidding. I'm back. ChatGPT, after helping me do my show notes, had some really good journal prompts and affirmations. So let's go over them real quick. Also, here are some key takeaways first. Abundance looks different in every season. Wealth is more than money. kindness multiplies, and sometimes miracles show up in the Costco checkout line. All right, here's some journal prompts. What limiting beliefs do I still hold around money or abundance? What have I manifested recently? Where in my life have I experienced unexpected support? How can I give back even in small ways? What would change if I truly trusted the process? Now, here are some affirmations. I am supported in seen and unseen ways. Abundance flows to me through divine connections. I trust that this or something better is unfolding for me. I am grateful for where I am and excited for where I'm going. My life is filled with love, support, and opportunities. Okay, for real this time, I'm done. These questions will be in the show notes along with the affirmations. Feel free to journal on them or meditate or ponder on them or write them down or write down these affirmations and repeat them daily. And if anything resonated with you or if you really enjoyed this episode, come share it with me because I would love to know, because a lot of the times when I'm podcasting, I feel like I'm talking into a black hole. My point exactly. Okay, I'm happy to talk and I hope you are doing fabulous. Love you. Have a great week. Bye.